What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. We're going to call this the secondary show because the whole show today is about the cornerback and secondary situation for the Dolphins, for better and for worse. All right. Y'all know I'm a cornerback aficionado, so this is my bag. I was very happy with the news today, and again, a little bit sad, but we'll get into that later on. We're going to start with the first news of the day. The Dolphins have signed Jack Jones to a 1 year contract. Jack Jones played for the Raiders last year, started 16 games, 27 years old, three picks, one pick six. On paper, solid signing, right? A lot of upside. Like, not the biggest corner, about 6 feet, 200 pounds. Like, he's a normal sized corner, super athletic, but trouble. All right. Like, you got cut by the Patriots. Um, he has some off the field gun possession charges, which we know is, but just not making smart decisions. And, there are people in the Raiders organization who thought, even though he played the games last year, wasn't always giving his best effort, which we don't like to see because he's a young guy. No reason not to be giving your best effort. The Raiders weren't a good team. And I know sometimes when you're on a bad team, your morale can drop, your energy can drop. We saw Randy Moss basically say, I play when I want to when he was on a bad team. Then he went to the Patriots and all of a sudden got energized. Just found energy. All of a sudden he's like, hey, I'm best receiver in the league again. When he's with the Raiders, he's on the sideline, just slumping, looking around at people, not paying attention. But we did an episode, had to be at least 2 months ago, about the prospect of Jack Jones coming to the team. And then we stopped talking about it because there was literally no reporting about that happening. I thought he had got scooped up by a different team, or maybe I knew the Raiders hadn't re-signed him, but I just thought he got picked up. So when I saw the news today, I said, "Oh man, we did an episode about this. I think back in like April." But Jack Jones is signed to the team. I assume he will be brought in more or less as a starter. I don't see a scenario where he isn't one of our three corners on the field. I mean, he literally started all the games last year. He has a lot of upside, super talented dude, but can he put it together enough to be, better than a serviceable corner? Who knows? I think it's a very easy 1 year tryout situation. Young enough that if he's good, we can let it rock. If he's not good, or if he does anything else off the field, it's a just like everything else we've done in this offseason. Very much a keep it short term. Let's see what you got. If you're good, we can keep rocking. If you're not, you'll be on your fourth team, third team in 4 years. That's usually not a good sign. That typically means you're going to be a journeyman or you're going to be out of the league very shortly. Um, yeah, I thought this was a good sign. Had this been the only signing today, I would have been like, hey man, you know, Dolphins making moves, we're doing all right. But the Dolphins were not done. They later went and picked up Mike Hilton from the Bengals, who is a complete. He's on this side. He's on the exact opposite spectrum from Jack Jones. Mike Hilton now is like more of a strong safety corner, if that makes any sense. So when you're a strong safety, you're more known as like the enforcer. You're the person that comes out in the box. You're the person that lays the wood, and you're usually okay to not great in coverage, but you're really good in the box, right? So like someone like I don't know who's in the league now that falls in this category. I can't think of anybody like off the top of my head now. I guess we'll be comparing like Earl Thomas in deep coverage versus the Cam Chancellor type back in the day, right? Earl Thomas was just like just flying around, but Cam Chancellor was ending careers. Like his job was to take people out. Now he plays safety, so it's a different kind of position. Mike Hilton is a cornerback, but he's basically best served down near the box and making tackles. So he's a physical corner, really good at run support, which we always need. I've mentioned many times on this channel, I don't like cornerbacks that decide I'm not tackling. Now y'all got me here to cover. It's not my job to run support. It is. It is definitely part of your job. All the best corners also do run support nowadays. We're not doing that Dion life anymore where you run past me and I jump on your back and you backpack me to a 8 yard gain for a tackle. We're not doing that anymore. You need to be able to get off the receiver block, get upfield and make a play. Or be the last line of defense if you're running in phase with a receiver and you see that the running back or someone else is broken free, get off of that and go make a tackle. Mike Hilton is a downhill cornerback. So he's played mostly in a slot, which is interesting because Cater Kohu normally plays in a slot. And the fact that we signed Mike Hilton, who at this point cannot be an outside corner. I don't see any part of his skill set. To be an outside corner, you need to be one, fast, because you're guarding either wide receiver one or wide receiver two most of the time. So you got to be fast and probably a little bit taller because most receivers now are 6'2" and much above now. A lot of 6'3", 6'4" guys running around. Mike is not tall enough and fast enough to be on the outside. So if he is an outside corner, I would say that we have some issues in the secondary. If he's in a slot, cool. I think his coverage at this point is probably average to below average, which means that he might be, more of a monster back, which is like a hybrid of a corner and a safety. Maybe like a first and second down type corner, and then third down if we go to a nickel, which is five cornerbacks or five secondary people. Maybe we bring in a couple better cover people. We got to figure out how we're going to use him, but I don't think he should be our number one corner lined up against number one receivers. I think that would be a bad matchup. That would be very Brandon Stevens esque. If you know, you know. But I think that is awesome that we can get him. We also did an episode about him coming over possibly, but more as a veteran leader who can kind of teach people how to play the position. He was on the Bengals the last few years, and the Bengals defense last year was absolutely atrocious. If you saw any part of the Bengals play last year, awful in the secondary. Just terrible. To the point that their defensive coordinator got fired. Now, 2 years earlier, they're like, yo, man, he's a great DC. He might be a head coach. He always does well against Mahomes. I don't know what happened last year. So the fact that Mike Hilton wasn't great in coverage last year, I don't know means he's not good in coverage anymore when everyone else in the secondary was also bad and the DC got fired. It may have been a situation where the Bengals just completely mismanaged the season, which they've been doing this whole offseason. They just got Shamar Stewart to sign. Hendrickson, we don't know what he's doing now. They got a lot of issues over there. It may have been a scheme. It may have been the guys on the team being like, hey, we got Joe Burrow scoring 40 a game. We don't have to stop anybody. I don't know what happened last year because Mike Hilton was really good with Pittsburgh, good early with Cincinnati, not good last year. What I'm hoping is that we get the good version of him. we get the Pittsburgh version of him, and if he can be that version of a slot corner, I think he is no longer a liability. He wouldn't be the greatest in his position, but good enough that we can build the rest of the defense around him, and definitely probably better than some of our undrafted free agents, some of our young pups who need to grow up a little bit. He at least knows the game. He's been physical. He's been in the AFC. He's played tough games. He's been in the playoffs. I think all that experience is invaluable. And again, another 1 year deal. So just in case he's not great, I mean, he's 31 anyway. So he was never going to get a long term deal, especially from us. 1 year deal. If he's good, maybe we do another 1 year deal. I can see Jack Jones getting an actual extension if he's good. But Mike Hilton, I think he'll be 1 year, 1 year, 1 year before he maybe just wants to retire. But not a bad signing. Don't hate it. Just he cannot be our cornerback 1 or 2. Now, part of the reason why I think the Dolphins went so aggressive today is that we had a double injury in practice today, which is not good. One of the injuries was to Kader Kohu, who we all assume is our cornerback one at the moment, even though he typically is playing the slot, which would make him by default your cornerback three typically. But he's been our best corner, and we basically were like, hey, we know you're starting. We're figuring out the other two positions. Basically, he got banged up going against Tyreek earlier today in practice, and he tried to like play through it, and then he couldn't play through it. They said lower extremity injury, but he wasn't carted off. He was able to like hobble off the field. We don't know what the injury was. I'm guessing it's more than a rolled ankle, but I'm hoping it's not something that requires any level of surgery or anything. I don't think the team didn't seem super concerned, but I think it's entirely possible he may not be back on the practice field until we get to actual preseason games because one, he knows the defensive scheme already. He was here last year, but he hasn't played outside corner. So that's the one caveat where I don't believe he won't be healthy for the year. But playing slot corner and playing the outside corners are different positions. I know you think, oh, you're guarding the receiver. It's different. When you have the sideline as a assist, you can actually do things as a corner to just use that as a secondary defender. If I get inside you and just kind of bump you a little bit, and if as a receiver, if you run out of bounds and come back in, you can't touch the ball. So as a DB, I'm constantly trying to get you near that sideline because if you step out, I win. But also that makes the throwing windows a lot tighter. You can't if I got your inside, the quarterback has to drop it over the top, or back shoulder, which is like the most popular thing quarterbacks and receivers do now. But when you're in a slot, you have a two-way go. Guys are running in motion. They can go here, here, they can go straight. So really a three-way go. It's a lot more twitchy, I guess, and maybe like change direction. Like you got to be real on top of your feet. There is some overlap in the skills, obviously, between slot and outside corner, but they are different in terms of the people you go against, right? I mentioned earlier Mike Hilton can't be a cornerback one or two because he doesn't have enough elite speed and size. When you're going against one week Justin Jefferson, then Jamar Chase, then Puka Nakua, then AJ Brown, like it's a lot to deal with. And Cater was going to presumably switch to one of those two positions this year, either cornerback one or two, because he hasn't been practicing at those and he hasn't played at those in real big time games. I would have liked to see him get more practice doing that, which is why he was going against Tyreek today, because he would presumably be guarding a wide receiver one during the regular season. But Cater hasn't had to do that. He would, in real life, up to this year, he would have been guarding the Taj Washington, Nick Westbrook player. Now he's guarding Jalen Waddle, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a different game. So hopefully it's not a big deal. He comes back soon. We'll see what happens. BJ Adams is a whole different situation. You guys know I'm a BJ Adams fan because he went to UCF, my alma mater. Shout out to the Knights. He was carted off today, which is a lot scarier. That means that he cannot walk off under his own power. We don't know what the injury is. Another lower leg situation. Um, I haven't heard they're fearing like ACL or MCL kind of thing yet. I do know if you carted off, that's almost universally not a good sign. They knew Artie Burns' ACL was torn immediately, so they didn't say that about BJ today. They didn't say oh immediate ACL tear. They said hey he's not in a good place. Um, he was fighting for a position and he was fighting to get on the field at any position, whether it's special teams or as a nickel corner or what have you. And by all accounts, he was in contention. I didn't hear anything about him like emerge into the front of the pack, but now almost certainly, even if he's only out for a couple weeks, that has to knock you down because now you're not out there getting looks. We don't see how you are like in reps, and now other people who maybe you were performing better than are now getting the reps that you were getting before. So this is not where you want to be as a rookie because we haven't done like our big cuts yet to the roster, which happened between now and the beginning of the year. And if you're not playing, then you're more likely to get cut. If you're not playing well, for sure you can get cut. But if we let's say we keep six or seven cornerbacks, because again, some corners double as special teams people, and you were like number five up until right now. Now number six and seven, if they start emerging, you might be DB7 by the time you get back from injury, and it's like, hey, we're not carrying seven. Practice squad or straight cut is very much on the board. I don't want that to happen. I think BJ has a ton of upside. Again, I'm a little biased, but we were looking at him as a pre-draft person anyway. We brought him in for a workout because we thought he could be someone we could look at some point. So I don't like this at all. I'm hoping it's not an MCL, ACL, God forbid Achilles kind of thing. If it's knee sprain, he might be out for a few weeks. Fine. If anything worse than that, I don't know. That was sad to see. We already saw the Artie Burns situation. Are we snake bitten? Perhaps. I don't know. We the one position that we were the thinnest in, all of a sudden it's like it just keeps going down. I'm not sure what's going on. It could maybe it's the feels, maybe it's something in the training, like because sometimes like the way you prep people for a season, you can overtrain, you can not work on certain things. Like there was a team I want to say it was like the Chargers one year where they had like a lot of players get the exact same injury. It was like four different guys got the same injury, and people were like, "All right, is it just this is football? Y'all got the same injury, or are we doing something in our training regimen that's leading to these injuries?" And I think they fired that person and brought someone else in because sometimes it can just be people are snake bitten. We've all seen it, right? Sometimes it's hey, this training regimen is leading to people getting hurt. I.e., if you ever like, I'm gonna cross sports. If you know golf, when Tiger Woods was young and he was amazing, he was training in a way that was going to break his body down. And a lot of older golfers said, "Hey, you're going to destroy your back and your knees playing like that." And Tiger was like, "I don't care. I'm the best in the world," and he was the best in the world. But guess what happened down the line? You guessed it: multiple back injuries, multiple knee injuries, And it was like, well, this is going to happen. He's putting so much stress on his lower body. He's doing so much explosive torquing, and this is going to hurt at some point. And then it did. Now, for that time up until he got hurt, best player I've ever seen. But you keep doing things that can get you hurt, it will get you hurt. And then that's what happened to him. I don't know if that's what's happening with the team. I'm not trying to throw any strength and conditioning people under the bus. I'm saying we need to consider all options because it seems like a lot of things are happening and we don't want to see people keep getting hurt. That's it. As you would expect, many of my questions coming in today were about the secondary. And specifically, the fact that we signed Jack and we signed Mike Hilton, that means that the Dolphins are out of the Asante Samuel game and we're also out of the Rasul Douglas game. And so people ask, like, how do you feel about that? This is what I believe to be true. Again, we haven't seen any numbers. I mentioned on yesterday's show, I think there's a gulf between what the Dolphins offer and what Rasul wants. I threw out 4 to 5 million versus his perceived I want 10 million. And all that today showed me was that I think I'm very much on the right track. I may not have the exact numbers right. It might be we offer 6 and he wants 12 and whatever. But I kept saying the fact that he didn't even like consider the offer means that whatever he wants, we're very far away on. That and the fact that we didn't even like wait and say, okay, go test the market again and come back. We just moved on and got two other people. That tells me, hey, he wasn't coming down. We weren't coming up anymore, even though I think this revised offer was up from the last offer. Miami was like, you are not worth what you want. We're out. Totally cool with that. The Asante Samuel Jr. thing, again, once his dad started talking, I thought he was out. But then his camp started saying, hey, I will play there if I want to. This is what I know about any media linking out to the people. Anytime you hear like sources are saying and this and that, somebody wants you to know something. Asante Samuel Sr. was on his own like radio show. So he said that for the world. But when the back channeling of Junior was like, hey, he's still willing to play for the team, that was him telling the Dolphins brass, don't let my dad discourage me from playing. I still want to go there. Let's see if the money can work out. I do very much believe that there's ego and power in all these games and sports. And when you attack the whole entire leadership chain, that they're not going to come around to you. I just don't believe that. So even though Junior was saying, hey, I'm down to play, I think that door was slammed shut when you say they're running a Mickey Mouse operation down in Miami. So what this is telling me that the Dolphins are resolute about we're not overspending for anybody. We're committed to this 1 year situation. We are looking more to the future than the present. That's what that tells me. Would I like for us to have gotten Rasul? Yes, of course I would have. Those are better players. I just objectively they're better players. And Asante's younger than both of these guys. But we didn't have the money to do anything about it. And let's be honest, like they weren't trying to work with us. Because if they were, they would have been signed already. There's a reason why they're not signed, and it's because either they have really priced themselves out of the market, or behind the scenes they're not negotiating in good faith. They may want more guaranteed money. They may want longer contracts. A lot of things happen behind the scenes that we just don't know about. The fact that they're not signed, and again, there are a lot of teams in the league who don't have good secondaries. We know them to be true. We just mentioned the whole Bengals. Their secondary is awful. Their secondary is terrible, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. We're gonna just not sign these available players." Like, there is something more to it than just them not being signed, right? So I think the Dolphins have a clear message they're sending to the team and the fan base is that hey, we think we have good enough guys to get somewhere. This is kind of telling me that I don't think they believe up top that we have the roster we need to be the top team in the league. I think they believe we have a good enough roster to compete without over leveraging the future. That's what I think they. That's what I think they are. They think, hey, if Tua's healthy, we got Tyreek with no more guaranteed money, Waddle under contract. We got two guys fighting for the third slot position. We have good running backs. The offensive line should be much improved. Defensive line should be better. We should get a pass rush. We like our linebackers. Secondary, we'll see. That formula is a playoff team without overspending. And then we're going to play it out and see what happens. Now, they are very much putting their job on the line because I do believe it's on the board that if we don't make the playoffs, there's an overhaul. So Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel got to be having talks every day. They got to be like, hey, are these guys where they need to be? And he's like, yeah, I believe it. It's like, you understand that if they're not, you're going to get fired. He's like, yeah, I Totally agree. And if Coach McDaniel and Chris Greer are risking their livelihoods, very much so, on the fact that we have the right guys now, then I'm inclined to believe them. They have way more on the line than I have. This is not my job. Like, I could talk about the Dolphins no matter who the coach or GM is, but they are risking their career on this. And they're running up the chain like, hey, there's better corners on the market. There were, better defensive linemen on the market, and we're going to go here. And that's where we decided to go. So I would have liked to get either Rasul or Asante. I thought Rasul was in the bag. I thought once Jalen Ramsey was traded, Rasul was coming in. Cornerback one, Cater, your cornerback two. Three would be whoever the next person emerges, and we're going to cook. That's what I thought. And I was wrong. So we will just see. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank you for the likes and subscribes. We will see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.